All right, we're back with another great episode of Meeting of the Minds today with the great John Handrigan from University of Notre Dame Golf. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gene. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. So tell us, during these trying times, what do you tell your players to stay positive and be resilient? Obviously, these are unexpected times, uncertain, and throws a big wrench at them.
Yeah, definitely difficult times. Being optimistic in these times really helps for sure. And we tell our guys it's a perfect opportunity now to get better at certain parts of their game that's off the golf course. Use this time wisely because there's a lot of guys out there that probably won't, and you can pass those guys, during this time. So we do look at it as an opportunity to get better in different aspects of the game. And thankfully, all of our guys are working hard at it.
Absolutely. That's what we say. Anytime there's big adversity like this that's affecting so many people nationwide, there's always a changing of the guards. So some people either are going to, right, adversity causes some people to break, others to break records. This is how we build the gap, widen the gap on people we're better than, teams we're better than, and ways we close the gap with people who might be a little bit ahead of us. So it's a big deal.
Definitely. And it's a great opportunity, like we're talking about, to get better in those areas. And you want to close the gap on some of those guys that you might be ahead of you right now. And a lot of guys are probably, sitting on the couch watching a lot of Netflix, et cetera. But then there's guys that are dedicated and motivated that want to continue to improve. So once things open back up, their golf games will be ready.
Absolutely. What are some of your big philosophies as a coach and your team?
As far as mindset,
the total package, everything. Yeah.
Sure. So we build our team off of a team culture and character. So that's the number one thing we recruit. Obviously, players are talented and have exceptional golf games. That's the first thing that attracts us to those players. But we believe in strong character, and that'll drive and promote winning. But if you don't have that first step of that character in players and a strong culture, it's tough to build off of that and turn that into winning. My first 2 years at Notre Dame, that's pretty much all we did was build a culture amongst our players. And then the last year, we were able to focus more on competitiveness and winning. But it's taken us a couple of years to get there. And our mindsets have been a lot stronger the last couple of years for sure. We teach a lot about that. Read a lot of books and have our guys really focus on being the toughest players mentally, because that's within our control. Sometimes golf, your scores come and go, but how you handle yourself mentally, physically, then that's within your control. And our players are pretty phenomenal in those areas, and we just had some individual team meetings today with our guys, and it's pretty wild that our team was ranked top 10 in the country this year. Yeah. We didn't have a single player individually ranked in the top 50. So that tells you that we have a great team chemistry. They all play well together, and we're able to compete with some of the best teams in the country because our guys had the right mindsets and competed at the highest level.
That's great. Absolutely. And it does speak volumes about the team, what you're doing over there. And when we talk about culture, let's try to put some shoe leather on that. How do we practically build a culture or continue a tradition?
Yeah, in golf, it's a little bit different, right? Because you're trying to coach and teach a team sport, but golf's a very individualized sport. So what we've done is taught what competition really is. And when we first started working here together, Coach Gump and I, my assistant coach, a lot of the guys were hoping the other players would play poorly so they can get a spot in the lineup. Well, to me, that's negative competition. And we try to teach our guys the culture that we want is positive competition. So you want to play against, a player on your team, and you want the best of that player because that's going to bring out your best and make you compete at the highest level. And once we started to really cheer for the other guys and encourage our other players to play better on our team, it made each one of us better. And the guys have really grown together to now really care about each other, rather than before they weren't hoping for the best. And now it's the opposite. Our guys are really rooting for one another. Obviously, they still want to compete and beat one another, but in a positive way.
I think that's really big. That's important you say that, because when we're thinking about someone else messing up or choking or underperforming, it's our mindset is still focusing on a negative. It might not be about us, but it's about them. And my thought is you always want to keep it positive straight through. So we don't want to be focusing on that negative really at all, whether it's ourselves or anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. You always want to focus on the positive, and that's how it's going to make you better. And it's, we talk a lot about too, positive self-talk, and in golf, there's maybe 140 other players in the field, and all 140 are rooting against you and talking negatively to you. But if you have one thing that you need to do is talk nice to yourself and send some positive information to your brain. And sometimes we even talk about tricking our brains into thinking about things that haven't happened yet. And I think a lot of elite players do that, and our players are really starting to master that. And in golf, you got a lot of time between shots, so you might as well start working on some positive information that you're sending to yourself to get you ready for that next shot.
Absolutely. And I would think that all begins in practice. You're not going to be able to just whip it up on the day of the tournament, right? The day of the competition, you got to already have it there. So that's got to begin probably on your own. Then you bring it into practice and then into the competition.
Definitely. And our number one rule, we don't have many on our team, is no negativity. And it's obviously starts with the coaches that we implemented that. But now that we have strong leadership within our team, that our guys are holding themselves accountable for negativity. And we don't complain about bad things that might happen or bad breaks, bad shots. But we just focus on all positive information. And obviously our brains, there's times where things are tough and you think some negative thoughts, but you have to, change those and make those into a positive. Excuse me. So our guys are great about that. And it's taken us 3 years now to try to master that. But we have very little negativity in our team. And it's been really effective once the guys are holding each other accountable.
That's great. I remember hearing that from Michael Phelps in the Olympics, saying him and his swim team, I guess the group before that they had, they said especially on the day of competition, it was no negativity. If you don't have if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything. So you take the negatives, you make them. Yeah, good.
So true. And I actually learned that from him. So I kind of stole it from him when I was watching the Olympics, and we've really dialed that in, and just, it doesn't help at all. And it's pretty tough to have absolutely zero negativity or zero complaining. So we actually included a one a day theory. So our guys can have one a day. And once we have that, we kind of joke that it's gone, and then we move on to positive thoughts.
I like that, because again, also we're looking at what the most successful people do across all areas. If we could learn something from swimming, we take it, right? I was a wrestler, learn from a wrestler. From a golfer, you take it from a golfer. There's the success principles are really the same right through, right? Mindset is mindset. And I like also how you have that realistic approach. So where it's, okay, you got that out of the way, right? You had you had the negative thought, you had your one complaint. We put that past us. Now let's move forward, as opposed to it being black and white, all or nothing thinking, which I would especially assume for golfing could be really, really detrimental.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're all not perfect, right? And when bad things happen, our brains work in certain ways. So we're not trying to be perfect. We realize that we're just trying to reduce that as much as we can. And once we've reduced the amount of complaining or negative thoughts, it's really turned into some great performance. And it's nice to see how much we progressed along the way with that. And it's funny now to see the guys, and they talk about it after a round, and they talk about all the other players and how they performed and how their negative attitudes or negative thinking or comments or complaining. And now they don't do it to their faces, but they're making fun of these other guys and the reasons why they're playing poorly. And it's nice to see that they're focusing on the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think back also when perfection comes up, I think right away, Dr. Bob Rotella, golf is not a game of perfect. I remember that was one of the first mindset. It was a tape back then that I listened to, and that helped me for my wrestling career. And actually inspired me also then to move on. My master's degree thesis was perfectionism and anxiety in athletes. And we found that athletes who were more perfectionistic, they got more nervous, they did worse. Pretty straightforward, but then you have the numbers, the research, the evidence to back that up. So.
Yeah, and specifically in golf, there's very little perfect rounds of golf, that's for sure. So you have to be able to learn how you react when things don't go your way or things don't go perfectly. And I think it's important to make sure you're doing it in a positive way to help and rebound and get ready for that next shot or that next round.
Talk about that a little bit, about how the athlete resets themselves after some kind of adversity. How do you go over that in practice? Do you talk about that with them ahead of time? Do they have individual meetings that you have with them? How do you address that?
Every player is different on our team, but most of our guys have a post-shot routine, we call it, and that's how you're going to react after a good shot or a poor shot. And it's really difficult it's easier to say it than to do it, that's for sure. But the guys have really bought into it, and now they can release the good or the bad a lot quicker to move on faster. So that post-shot routine has really helped, because early on we had a lot of poor body language or a lot of complaining, or they would stay with that shot for way too long and they couldn't focus on the next shot. So that post-shot routine has really helped us kind of get ready and focus on that next play.
That's big. And I like how you said that there, that it doesn't matter if they hit it well or they didn't hit it well, because you don't even want to be focusing on the past good shot that you hit. It's just staying in the present moment. Now is a totally different, it's a new opportunity. Everyone's a brand new opportunity. How about, you see a lot of times players where they're playing well, and then maybe they're asking themselves, when am I going to blow up? When are things going to go bad? How did they deal with that?
And like we talked about earlier, the brain works in different ways, and it's difficult to stay in the present. And that's what a good post-shot routine does. It keeps you focused on that next shot, no matter what happened the previous one. And once you start getting ahead of yourself and focusing too far ahead on the next shot, then it's difficult to stay in the current moment and focus on what you're doing to accomplish the task in hand.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now, how about energy management throughout the course of a long day? What do you tell them to do? What should they be thinking? What should they be doing?
Yeah, we focus a lot on breathing to control the energy level. I don't know if that's common in all sports, but it's definitely pretty common with the elite golfers in the world. And that helps you kind of regulate your heartbeat, keep you in the same feeling, shot in and shot out. Obviously, there's pressure in golf, and a lot of anxiety builds up throughout the round, whether you're playing well or poorly. If you're winning a tournament or playing in a major championship, whatever it may be, there's pressure that builds up. And if you can keep your heartbeat fairly calm and control your breathing, typically that helps us perform, at the highest level in difficult situations.
That's big. I recommend that in all sports, that anytime there's a break in the action, you take at least that one good cleansing breath. But especially a sport like golf, where you're actually thinking more than you're playing, than you're actually competing. So how much more important is there? It's so much more important there to make sure you're controlling that breathing on a regular basis. So that's great. What else? Now, what kind of what athletes are you looking for? Obviously, Notre Dame, unbelievable brand, student athletes, Catholic school. What are you looking for in recruiting?
The first thing is talent. We look at their scores and rankings. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that's the first thing we look at to get our interest. But then after that, we're, like I talked about earlier, we're looking at who they are as people, their character. I believe that if you're a good person, strong character, then you're going to be very easily to be coached well. And I think that's what you're going to get from this level to the next level is you're going to be coachable. And that all, stems from, proper parenting. So we look at parenting as well to see how they're raised. And if they're respectful to their parents, I guarantee they're probably going to be respectful to coaches. Nothing's more important to me at Notre Dame than the Notre Dame brand. So we look for people that can represent the brand at all times. It's more important than winning. We talk about at Notre Dame, it's not a 4-year decision, but it's a 40-year decision, because it's a big brand and it's one of the most powerful in college athletics. So we have to represent that at all times. And we need classy young men that are going to represent that well. We go to a lot of really nice places across the world, and definitely in the US. So our guys got to be class acts at all times. And that's really important to me during the recruiting process.
That's right. I think back to Lou Holt's speech before, where he said, at Notre Dame, you represent all the people that came before you, all the people that will come after you. No, it's big in that, and looking that character, that virtue, that carries from sports, school, and their whole life. And it's true. You look at how people are treating their parents, they're probably going to treat the coaches similar. If they're having a problem with authority at home or in the classroom, why would anyone think it would be different in sports? Be the same.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And Notre Dame is a challenging place academically and athletically. So we need to find players that can handle that. And it's supposed to be hard. Anything worthwhile in life is difficult. And Notre Dame pushes you pretty hard academically and athletically. So we're looking for tough young men that can handle that. And they're going to see adversity quite a bit day in and day out. So they need to be able to handle that with class. And we do that extremely well. And I'm proud of the team that we have because they're some of the best students in the country and also playing on a top level golf program.
Absolutely. What are some of the biggest mistakes that a freshman may make coming in, whether it be mentally, emotionally, preparation, that they weren't really expecting or they didn't realize just how much different it is than high school?
Yeah, I think in college, especially Notre Dame and college golf, I think time management is the most important thing that we teach throughout the summertime as the player gets ready to come in here in their freshman year. They're going to get pulled in a lot of different directions. Academics are extremely difficult. And then golf-wise, I guarantee I'm going to push them just as hard. So they have to be able to manage their time wisely, get to classes during the day and workouts first thing in the morning and then class and get to practice on time and devote themselves pretty hard at practice. Then, get to tutors at nighttime. And then after that, still find time to kind of decompress after the day and get ready for that next day. So if you're not very strong in time management, it's going to be difficult to apply and do all those things in a day.
So how could what would be because obviously the idea would be they live that on a regular basis throughout their high school career. There's no quick fixes, right? But at the same time, if there was a kid who is going to be coming to the team this year and they have this time, especially during Corona, to start building up some of these skills and time management, what can they be doing so they get ready for Notre Dame golf?
Yeah, I'm meeting with our incoming freshmen once a week right now on just a Zoom call, but we're talking for a minimum of an hour once a week. And I talk about, kind of the things to expect at Notre Dame. A lot of it is I'm kind of, telling them they got to do all these things on their own right now in the summertime to get ready for Notre Dame. So I want them doing, their own laundry and making their own schedule, booking their own tournaments, booking their own travel, and just doing a lot of things on their own. Because once you get to Notre Dame, obviously we're going to be here and doing a lot of work for them and helping them out in several areas. But a lot of it is I want self-sufficient players that can come in here and do things on their own. I don't want to have a player in here that has to be pushed day in and day out to be motivated. I want them to be self-motivated. So a few of those things we talk about on a weekly basis with these guys to hopefully get them prepared for this next level.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the freshmen, the incoming freshmen doing, maybe physically, technically, skills-wise, strength, conditioning, mentally coming in, and also the returners? How are they preparing now during this time?
Yeah, the incoming freshmen, we kind of give them a plan for what we're going to do once they arrive. So they're starting to do that plan in the summertime. Mentally, we have a lot of discussions about what they do on the golf course currently, how they think, how they react, just ways that we teach our players once they get here, but we start that early in the summer. The returning guys, they are they work hard throughout the years to kind of know what we believe in as coaches. And in the summertime, they're trying to get ready for their future tournament schedule. Hopefully things will kind of get back to normal here pretty soon and the guys can get out and play some golf. But unfortunately right now they just finished exams. So now they're focusing more on golf. Right.
And we tell the guys all the time that you just really want to be ready to go for anything because we don't know what's going to happen. And I think us as a business, you guys as a team, everything in between, we don't know what's going to happen. So you just have to control the controllables, do the things to get yourself as physically and mentally ready as possible, and then you let the cards fall where they fall.
Yeah, and great point, Gene. I think you got to control what you can control, and we talk about that a lot with our guys because a lot of things in golf you can't control, bad breaks or bad bounces or et cetera. So you got to control what you have control of, and right now we have control of ourselves, our minds, our actions. And then when things open back up, let's be ready for that next opportunity that we have to be successful on the golf course, but it takes a lot of preparation to get there. So now is a good time to prepare.
Absolutely. That's why we say it's the predator mindset, right? That doesn't mean you're aggressive or mad or competing angry, but it's just eyes on the front like to hunt. Control what you could control. Eyes on the side like to hide. Don't get caught up in the scores or the rankings or how your opponent's doing or what this whole Corona situation is, what you do and don't agree with. We all have our opinions, right? But just keep getting better academically, athletically, socially, spiritually. And to me, especially with Notre Dame, team that I've loved my entire life, that's what it's always been about. It's been about being the total package and operating at a high level in whatever it is that you're doing, not letting a day go by without improving yourself.
Exactly. And I really feel too right now, given the situation and the circumstances, that there's nothing much more important than fitness right now and just working out. And I think it strengthens your mind when you're doing it. And I think it's very important. A lot of people are probably sitting around a lot now and not doing much, but I do think when you're exercising and physically moving as much as you possibly can, I think that is going to get you more prepared for when things open back up rather than, kind of lazing around, not doing much.
That's right. That's right. I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. What have you been doing for your workout routine?
Unfortunately, I have a very small gym at my house, but every morning I tend to do something, and I've joined an online program, so I'm doing a lot of yoga, but usually in the morning I still get my butt out of bed and do something for an hour before I get ready for the workday. I've been enjoying doing some yoga, and I got some small weights here that I do a lot of exercises, but it keeps me busy and keeps my mind moving.
Important to stay active. We tell people all the time, it's great, especially in the morning, because it wakes you up. And it might be something that people have to develop, that virtue, because maybe we have a lot of athletes, especially college, maybe they might not want to exercise in the morning, but developing that virtue, developing that habit, getting your engine running early, so then you're ready to go for the day. It's so important. And again, a lot of these things we say, they're simple to say, or they're easy to do, but they're not simple. Or maybe I have it the reverse. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
But you got to do it.
Yeah, it takes discipline to do it, but that shows you self-motivated players. I love talking to our guys today individually and ask them what they did this morning, and every one of them said so far that they worked out first thing. And I think that's so special that these guys care, they're self-motivated, and they're just dying to get better every single day and continue to improve. So we love to recruit guys that are like that and just are self-motivated day in and day out, and they won't stop until they reach their goals.
That's awesome. Oh, great stuff, Coach. We talk all day about this. I appreciate it a lot, John. Yeah, thank you for being on the show. Anything else that you would send? What kind of messages would you say to young kids in terms of keeping them ready mentally, emotionally, physically during these tough times?
Yeah, just stay motivated and follow your dreams and goals, and do everything you possibly can every day, no matter what you have. Control that, get things done, and there's going to be an opportunity coming up soon. It's up to you to be ready for that opportunity when it comes. That's
it. Being ready for the opportunity. And what is it? I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And what is it? Preparation, when preparation and opportunity meet. So just make sure you're ready to go. Control the controllables. Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate it.
Gene, thanks for your time, man. You have a great day.
You too, John. Go Irish.
Go Irish.